Wake up! Guys, this is part 2. I hope you watched the previous video on Alpha and Omega, the Aleph and the Tav. If you haven't, please watch that first, okay? It's kind of like part 1. This is part 2. We're going to get right into it. And guys, you know on this channel, the main thing we teach is the book of Revelation. And in the book of Revelation is the end. God declares the end from the beginning from the end. And what we're going to talk about here is the first verse we're going to read is Revelation 21:23. Actually 22 will say, "And I saw no temple there," this is New Jerusalem, "for the Lord God Almighty and the Lamb are the temple." Then verse 23 is, "And the city has no need of the sun, neither of the moon, to shine in it, for the glory of God did lighten it, and the Lamb is the light thereof." Okay? So what this is talking about, when New Jerusalem comes down, there's no sun and moon. There's no sun and moon. Okay? So in this message, I'm speaking light. I'm speaking glory. And to the children of light, take heed. Okay? Because we will show you in 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, you were familiar with the rapture verses in chapter 4. And then in chapter 5, verse 5, "You are the children of light and the children of the day." Okay, let's pay close attention to this, okay? You are the children of light, okay? And children of the day. You are not of the night, nor of darkness. Okay, we're going to see the significance of this later. But what I'm doing is I'm speaking to the children of light. Okay? One other thing I'm going to mention before we get into Genesis chapter 1 is 1 Thessalonians 5:1. "But of the times and seasons, brethren, you have no need that I write to you." Guys, what this is in reference to is when you are being prepared for the Lord's coming, you don't need anyone to tell you when it is. For example, Elijah had a specific day where he was caught up. Even the prophets would confirm and tell Elisha, "Don't you know that your master will be taken from you this day?" Okay. So the other people knew when Elijah would be taken. That's what this is talking about. "No, of the times and seasons, brethren, you have no need that I write to you." Okay. And again, what we're telling you is, general times and seasons, not specific days. But we're going to talk about some amazing things. I hope you get this, guys. What I'm going to do is, I know when I do this work, there's certain topics that I talk about, and the people have so much difficulty understanding. Like, for example, when I talk about time, most people have such difficulty thinking about time according to something other than time is this. Okay, and this message is like this as well. In Genesis 1:1, "In the beginning God created," and then we know in the Hebrew there, after the word created is the Aleph and Tav, "the heavens and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep. And the Spirit of the Lord moved on the face of the waters." And then verse 3, "And God said, let there be light." Let there be light! Okay? "And there was light. And God saw the light that it was good, and divided the light from the darkness." Okay? There's no sun. Remember we read in Revelation, in New Jerusalem, there's no sun. There's no moon. Why? Because the Lamb is the light. Guys, in Genesis 1, verse 3, when God says, "Let there be light," it's not the sun. What is it then? Think. If it's not the sun, what is the light? What is the light? Tell me. Let there be light, and there was light. And God saw the light, and that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. Remember, he said, you are children of the light, children of the day, not children of the night and children of darkness. Guys, what's going on here is something beyond natural, observable things in this dimensional realm. What we're observing here is the light is a person, but the light is a greater dimension than the sun. Okay, it's deeper than that. Okay, because there's darkness here, and he's speaking light into darkness. Now, the light that he's speaking is a person. We saw that it was the Lamb, okay? And this is going to change everything your Sunday school, Bible school teaching is on Genesis 1, because this is all completely different than what you think, okay? So the light is a person. We saw that just like the temple and New Jerusalem has no need for the sun and moon. There's no sun and moon here. So how is there a day? How is there a night? Okay, so these are symbolic references to light and darkness. Okay, the earth is subject to darkness, and there's darkness over the face of the deep. Okay, but God is doing creation, recreation to this, and the first thing he says is, let there be light. Now, let's go to the fourth day. Okay, now, with this in mind, keep in mind that when we read the Hebrew and we go back and we read the original words, it's very, very important, guys. So, for example, when I say to you, sun and moon, you think, okay, well, that's the sun and that's the moon and those are the stars, right? So, like, for example, if I'm trying to communicate to you the sun and moon and stars, I would say sun and moon and stars, right? But that's not what we have in Genesis. In Genesis 1:14, God said, let there be lights in the firmament. Okay, and the firmament is heavens. Okay, so symbolically what's going on, guys? In the first day, God said, let there be light. In the second day, he created the heavens. In the third day, he creates the earth. The fourth day, he creates these lights in the heavens. Now, in Hebrew, this word for light is different than let there be light. In fact, this is a less common word for light. It's a very significant word, and it's, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, but it's mawar, M-A-H-O-W-R. The normal word for light is our, O-W-R, that you see in Hebrew. But God said, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven, and to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, for moedim, for days and years, right? And let them be for lights and again, this is mawar, significant word, in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth, and it was so. Okay? And God made two great lights, okay? He made two great lights. The greater light is to rule by day. Okay, let's remember that. To rule by day, and the lesser light to rule the night. Now, guys, if this is the sun and the moon, why doesn't it say sun and moon? Okay, the writer of Genesis is the same writer of the rest of Genesis. Later in Genesis 15, he uses the word sun in Genesis 15 when the sun is going down. He speaks of Abraham. Later in Genesis, it speaks of Joseph, and Joseph saw 11 stars and the sun and moon bow to him. But in the Hebrew, it says sun and moon. Here, it does not say sun and moon. The first time sun is used is Genesis 15. First time moon is used is Genesis 37. So this is not the sun and the moon. This is not the sun and the moon. There are two great lights that God made to rule over the day, and the lesser light, and the stars also. Now we have stars, okay? So now we actually have a word, stars. Okay, so we don't have mention of the sun and moon, but we do have the stars. Now, essentially, the sun is a star. It's just the closest one to us, which, so it's a star. So guys, the sun is a star, and that's the lesser light. Okay, so when it's saying God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day. The greater light to rule the day, guys, is day one. It's day one. And day one, that's when God said, let there be light. That's a person. That's the light that rules by day. Okay? It's Iesous Christos. It's the Alpha and Omega. It's the Aleph and the Tav. The Almighty. He who was, who is to come. The Lamb. The Lamb is the light. He's the greater light that it's talking about here. It's not talking about the sun. Okay? There are two greater lights. The greater one through the day, and the lesser light to rule by night. Now, the lesser light here is the star. Okay? Which it clearly says. So, what we have is, you're used to reading this and you're saying, okay, this is the sun and moon. Well, why would the author not say sun and moon? He's trying to tell us about the greater light. The greater light is day one. Day one is the greater light. The lesser light is the star, or our sun. Okay? That's what it's saying here. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give them light upon the earth. So, what we have is a dimensional light that you see in the light that you're used to from the sun. But we have another light. Okay? If any of you have seen into the spirit realm, and you've seen this light, you know that you don't compare it to the sun. Because this sun, the magnitude of the sun is not nearly as bright as this light. Many of the prophets, when they saw, the throne or different things, they're seeing this light and this glory. And it blinds the eyes. You have difficulty seeing. Many of them fall to the ground. Many, many things. But let's keep going here. Because I want to let you know that this light is important for you to know. Because when he comes in the clouds, this is what the light is that's going to shine. And it's going to shine in darkness. Just like Genesis 1:1. But I also want to read to you Psalm 74 and verse 16. It says, now I'm gonna read this more according to the Hebrew than the English translation. The day and the night, you have prepared the light and the sun. Okay, so let's pay close attention to this. The day and the night, you have prepared the light and the sun. Now, the word in Hebrew for light here is the same word that we saw in Genesis 1:14, 15, and 16, Mawar. Okay? So this word is not used that often, guys. This is a significant word. Another place it's used is with the candlestick, the menorah. So when they light the menorah and the oil, the lighting of it is Mawar. Okay? And this word is used a few more times, but it's not a common word. So it's used in creation. It's used in day 4 of creation. It's used here in Psalm 74, and it's also used of the light of the menorah. And we know that he is the light of the world. So here again, we have this day and night, okay? The day and night, you have prepared the light and the sun. So the night relates to the sun. The day relates to this light, relates to the light of the Lamb. This other light, this other dimensional light, okay? Now I also want to tell you more about the light. I want to tell you about the person of the light. And of course the book of John, the Gospel of John, probably does the best job of this. And Jesus answered and said, are there not 12 hours in a day? If any man walk in the day, he stumbles not, because he sees the light of the world. But if the man walks in the night, he stumbles, because there is no light in him. So light is not just external, like a sun. Light is also internal. Okay? So if there's no light in you, you stumble. But if he who is the light is in you, you stumble not. Okay? Also, let's go to John 12 and verse 35. What is it? John 12. Yeah. And Jesus said unto him, yet a little while is the light with you, referring to Jesus himself. He is the light. Walk you while you have the light, lest darkness come upon you. For he that walks in darkness knows not where he goes. While you have the light, believe in the light, that you may be children of the light. Okay, again, we saw the children of the light mentioned in 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 5. Okay. Again, he is the light. Let's also go to John 3. In John 3, 16, you know that, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever should believe in him should not perish but have everlasting life. Verse 19. And this, okay, let me go back to, verse 17. For God sent not his Son in the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. And he that believes on him is not condemned, but he that believes not is condemned already, because he has not believed in the name of the begotten Son of God. This is the condemnation, that light is come into the world. Day one, light came into the world. And men love darkness rather than light, because their deeds are evil. Everyone that does evil hates the light, neither comes to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. So, as I'm doing this message, many of you hate the things I'm saying because of the darkness within you. But he is coming, the light of the world. On day one, he is the greater light. He is the greater light. When God said, let there be light, it was himself. In New Jerusalem, there's no sun and moon. Why? Because he himself is the light. The glory of the Lord is the light. So guys, in Genesis 1:2, the earth is in a state of darkness. And that darkness persists to this day. But God so loved the world, he sent his Son, who was the light of the world, that came into this world and died for our sins. Okay? And when he comes, this light is going to shine again. And I'm not really sure how you can prepare to see this light other than be used to it. Because this light does not have shadows. Okay? So when you put your hand up to the sun and you look down, you have a shadow of your hand. This light goes right through you. This light sees through your hands like an x-ray. This light sees through your heart and your motives like everything you're thinking. Nothing can be hidden from this light. So, if you're evil and wicked, you will run from this light. But if you're children of the light, you will run into this light because of what he did for us. Guys, I'm also doing this video for time, for the calendar. And I'm going to reference this video for all the people that question the Enoch calendar. Leland, why do you start it like this? Why do you do that? Blah, blah, blah. Guys, the light is the Lamb. And when the Lamb opens the seal, that's when you apply the Enoch calendar. So the Enoch calendar is not about observable functions of the sun and moon. It's recorded in the book of Enoch, certainly. But it's about the light. Okay? The light is the Lamb. And the calendar must be applied according to the time the Lamb opens the seal. Okay? So, I hope you understand this. If any of this is glossing over your head or anything, I encourage you to pause the video, go back, watch it again. But he is the light of the world, guys. And he's coming soon. So thanks for watching. And as I say, watch and pray they be counted worthy to escape all these things and stand before the Son of Man. Amen.